The problem with you is you're whining like a little fucking baby.
What's going on, Beaches? It's your boy, Papa Swolio, and I'm back for another episode of Ask Papa Swolio. Ask the bitter some questions. Pinching my nips. Let's get into the episode. Remember, everyone, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the video. Drop your questions down below with the hashtag AskPapaSwolio so I can answer your questions. And you might even get some nuts on your chin if you're lucky. Let's get into the first question of this episode. And this one is from Madison Sobchuk from YouTube, and she asks, how do I reduce shin splints? I get them really bad after running. Well, personally, I do not condone heel to toe running. I am a barefoot dude. A lot of you make fun and tease about my ballerina shoes, but they are Vibram 5 fingers. I like them. You can go different brands like Vivo Barefoot. There are a lot of barefoot type shoes, but we are human beings. We are meant to be barefoot. We are meant to run on the midfoot, toe to heel. We're meant to cushion the blow. We're meant to absorb the shock with the arch of our foot, blah, blah, blah. All that science mumbo jumbo, go Google it. We are meant to be barefoot. And that's the reason why feet create calluses. Like, we have shoes on our feet. You are getting shin splints because you are pounding on your heels step after step. You've heard people smashing on the treadmills, pounding, boom, 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 boom. Those jabronis that cannot absorb shock because they are striking with their heel. And it sends a shock wave up the body and can really cause a lot of damage. So posterior tibialis tendinitis, I believe, is another name for shin splints. You can help recover from shin splints by training the anterior tibialis, doing things like toe lifts, doing exercise that strengthen the front of your shin, and by balancing out by massaging and stretching and lengthening the muscles of the calf, the soleus, and the gastrocnemius. But you need to change your running style and start thinking about how you are actually striking the ground, your actual running form. I used to do heel to toe running in college, and I got nasty shin splints. So after I fixed that, I went to more barefoot style running on the balls of my feet, and I have never once gotten shin splints again. So I used to do a lot of running, but once I started doing things more like trail running, when I got really involved with those types of races and running on the beach, running on sand, on softer surfaces, I got into barefoot running, and I have never had shin splints since. So I highly recommend you look into progressing into more barefoot style running. Next question from YouTube, from Darcy L. She asks, do you and your girlfriend like to work out together? Is this a, quote, me time personal thing for you? Well, Mama Swolio and I, we do oftentimes go to the gym together, but we don't often work out together because we are sometimes on a different routine, a different schedule, and rather than try to force a workout together, because I usually like to work out alone, sometimes my pace might be faster or I might be doing exercises that she doesn't want to do. So lately what we've been doing is going at the same time, but a lot of times we'll take separate cars and she'll leave earlier because if she has to go to work or an appointment, and I'll stay longer. So we are doing it together, but it's like a separate togetherness. And I think that's where a lot of couples can really shine in terms of doing the gym and doing the fitness thing together, but not having to be at the same pace, because training with a significant other is the same thing like training with the training partner, and you might not be on the same level, and that can hold someone back. It can be frustrating. It could be a source of just kind of like, rough around the edges, and you can start getting into some bickering arguments and things like that if you're trying to push someone harder than they want to be pushed. And if you're in a relationship, you know what I'm talking about, you don't want to create any of those elements of friction. And when you're in the gym, when you're training and you're trying to push yourself, and there's a lot of strain, there's a lot of stress, and a lot of high energy, you don't need to be held back. You don't need to cause any additional conflict. For some of you out there that might have issues working out together, you might like to just go and then be in the gym at the same time, but you don't necessarily need to work out together on the same program, because people are going to be very different fundamentally. But that's a great way to be separate, but be together and still share the same interest and the same schedule overall. Next question from Instagram, Rach. Papa Swolio, any advice for someone whose significant other doesn't give a fuck about their weight or health? In parentheses, bringing shit food and horrible eating habits into our home. Well, I will say the obvious that most people don't want to think about. Maybe your significant other should just be an other. Maybe this is not the right person for you. Maybe this is not the right person that you should be spending the rest of your life with. And if they're just a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that's the first step. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a piece of paper saying you're married, but if you're going to spend time with this person and you don't agree, and that's going to be a major source of contention, it might not be the right person for you. You can lead by example. You can encourage them. Usually that's the best course of action, although it doesn't always catch on and it doesn't always take off. They might never ever want to follow your footsteps. So communication is what it usually comes down to. If you have a candid conversation and you tell the person and you're honest and you explain and you have this one-on-one where you can really tell the truth, because if you're hiding things, they're going to come out as arguments and fights later on. If you have this strong stance with your health, which is great, and I know, and the other person needs to know that your take on health will benefit them, will benefit both of you, will benefit your relationship together because you're being healthy together. It's a win-win, but if you don't eat the same foods, if you take health seriously and the other person doesn't, that's never going to get better. So unless you really have that candid conversation, that might be something that just causes a break later on down the road. So you need to communicate. I know you're asking me this question, but that's the person that you should be having this conversation with. And it can't be just a fleeting, nitpicking conversation. You're really going to eat that? You're really going to buy that? Oh, that's so unhealthy for you, blah, blah, blah. You need to sit down and have a fucking conversation that is very, very serious moving forward. Question from YouTube, Alexis Pemberton. Papa Swolio, I am currently on a speed skating team and I would like to improve my endurance and speed. Do you know of what exercises I could do off skate to improve endurance? You want endurance, but you also want power. If you're doing speed skating, I assume you also need explosive power. So those basic exercises like squats, things possibly like cleans, if you're under good supervision, that might be something you're interested in doing. Also box jumps and even those slide boards for skating. I'm not sure if that's considered off skate because it very, very closely mimics the actual speed skating movement. But those slide boards where you go side to side are great for thigh strength and explosive power, and that's great for endurance. But things like box squats, single leg squats and jumps like switch stance, lunge jumps can be very effective. Any type of combination of strength output with like a squat, like those basic strength exercises, combined with those power, quick, explosive bodyweight exercises are probably optimal for you. So if you're not implementing any of those, you can Google them. You can check out some of my other content, but I would look into that type of training, the strength and the plyometric aspect, in addition to your tactical, more skill-based speed skating work. Holly Z. Dybell? Instagram's weird. Anyway, Holly, thank you for your question. What are your thoughts on pre-workout Papa Swolio? If you've watched my Drive While Gaining, you've seen my videos, you know that I used to do pre-workouts. I used to buy those things over the counter. Now I opt for black coffee, espresso, or more natural pre-workouts that people suggest. There are a lot of things out there that have more natural ingredients that are based on caffeine or green tea extract that don't have all the fillers, all the artificial sweeteners, all the aspartame, sucralose, and all those things that aren't regulated. I've talked ad nauseum here on the channel about how supplements are not regulated. They spike supplements, they skirt the FDA. There are a lot of shady practices out there with supplements. So if you're gonna take something, be aware that you need to be paying attention to how these things affect your body, how they affect your sleep patterns, how they affect you emotionally. Are they pumped full of all these artificial sweeteners and all these kind of like ghost products in those proprietary blends that could be dangerous to your body? You need to really do an elimination diet. You need to really be in touch with how your body feels after eating certain foods, and you'll notice how your body feels when you take certain supplements. I would recommend making these things yourself, because if you buy the raw ingredients, you can measure them. You will know exactly how much goes into each scoop, exactly what you're consuming. But for most people, and most people that follow my channel, black coffee, shots of espresso, those things do work. Most of those pre-workouts are caffeine based anyway. You just want to be careful by sucking down these products that aren't regulated, that have a lot of cloaked or shadow ingredients that they don't necessarily have to disclose to you. So be careful, opt for more natural supplements. And to be honest, most over-the-counter pre-workouts are made of chemicals and crap. Next question from Grace Barry. Papa Swolio, you always acknowledge food is a social event. How do you tackle family and friend events? Do you take your own food or opt not to eat and order simple foods from the menu? Have an epic day. I did yoga this morning. Your positivity is moving me to good things. Good job on the yoga. And when it comes to food, for example, when I visited my best friend in Ohio, I actually ordered foods that I usually like to consume in terms of meats there, and I went shopping, and I usually eat the food that I like to prepare. But if I do go out, there's a couple different options. If you go out to eat, if you're with friends and you're going to a social event, one, you can eat first. A lot of times, if people are going out to eat, I know they're going out to eat and for entertainment. I go out for the entertainment, not so much for the food. So I might just get my satisfaction and my fuel first and then go and spend time with the people that I'm there to actually spend time with. I don't have to eat for pleasure, for entertainment. I go for the people. So I might eat first, or I've even brought my own food. And I personally don't care. Anyone that knows me in my circle, they're fine with me bringing my food. Sometimes if I wanted to order something, I could. I'm a grown-ass man. I'll make my own decisions, but I usually just don't want to. So I'll either bring food, I eat first, or I fast. I've said so many times that it's good for human beings to shut their mouths. It's good for people to not eat. Humans, especially Americans, need to eat less. So there's nothing wrong with being hungry or being without food for a couple extra hours. You can always eat later. The human body is designed for it. It's actually healthy. So there's three options. Eat first, bring your own food, or just don't eat for a couple hours. You'll live. Next question from YouTube from Sai Pandevo. What are your thoughts on people using martial arts as fitness, things like karate, tai chi, judo, and the like? I'm sure there would be some insults in there from comparing Tai Chi to Judo and Karate. I mean, they're very, very different. And I'm no expert, but I am very close to people that are high-level black belts in various arts. And when you say using martial arts as fitness, it depends on how you're defining fitness. Martial arts is extremely taxing physically, but it's much more than just physical training. It's mental training. It's emotional training. You're not only learning to use your body as a weapon and defend yourself, but also you're learning how to defend yourself by not using your body as a weapon. So there's a lot of psychological component. There's a lot of lifestyle and life choice components, self-defense. There's the fitness aspect. So you can easily combine martial arts with strength training. But when you start saying, what do you think about people that use martial arts for fitness? I mean, fitness depends on how you are defining that word, because people that practice martial arts are usually in very, very good shape, and their training is very, very excruciating and very, very taxing. So I think they're very similar. Fitness is obviously, by most standards, just your general health, how you are healthy as a person, from nutrition to your physical capacity to your emotional capacity. There are a lot of different aspects of fitness, which is why I said it's probably best to define that more specifically. But in terms of physical performance, obviously there's a lot of body control, there's a lot of balance and stability and range of motion, flexibility, depending on the martial arts. So I think that's a great thing to do. It is challenging to combine martial arts with strength training, because a lot of martial arts has extreme joint positions like jiu-jitsu, which can be very taxing on the joints. Strength training can benefit martial arts, but it could also be a hindrance if you're very, very stiff and you're practicing. It also depends on what you're doing it for general approach, or you're competing in martial arts. So it depends on how you look at those different things, but martial arts are amazing. I don't personally practice, but I've dabbled, and it's very impressive, especially those that make it a career and that really take it to a next level. So I do encourage people to look into it. I think it's great for multiple aspects of physical performance and mental and psychological performance, but I think it's great. So if you like it, go for it. The Darkest Night on Instagram. Papa Swolio, what's your best advice for people who struggle with loneliness? What I mean is, what's the best way to become comfortable with it and use it to your best advantage? I think the best way to answer this question is, why are you lonely? Because you asked, what's the best advice for people who struggle with loneliness? And then what is the best way to become comfortable with it? So why are you lonely? Are you choosing not to spend your time with people? Are you lonely because you live in an unpopulated area in the middle of the United States? or somewhere in the world, what is your reason for loneliness? Now, if you're very, very driven, like for me, for example, with what I'm doing with my brand, with my members, I am in front of the computer editing. I'm doing these videos. I'm doing a lot of content all the time, which means I'm not frolicking around South Florida. I'm not partying. I'm not going out drinking. I'm not doing a lot of things for my own leisure. But fortunately enough for me, I enjoy what I do. I love talking about this stuff. I love creating content. So I have found something that I enjoy doing that is also my business. So I wanted to create something when I created Swolenormous that I loved doing and that I would do for free. That way, I'll be happy with what I do every day. So when it comes to loneliness, I would say, I guess, lonely in the sense that I am focused on my shit. And if people want to spend time with me, then it has to work in sync with what I am doing for my passion, what I'm doing for my work, what my schedule is. So if you are on purpose being lonely, on purpose just kind of secluding yourself, you need to understand why you're doing that. Are you focused on your craft? Are you building a business? Do you have hobbies that just people that you used to surround yourself with don't enjoy? Maybe you need to find some new people. Maybe you need to go online and search up some interest groups on what you like. Because if you have trouble finding someone or finding people that have similar interests, whatever that is, whatever your hobby is, you can go on YouTube. You can find these communities everywhere. And a lot of times there are local meetups where you can actually find people with your similar interest. So that's what's great about the internet is that you can connect and you can socialize just like all of us with Swolenormous. We are connecting over fitness. We're connecting over lifestyle. We're connecting over bettering ourselves. So for you, if you're lonely for your own reasons, you're choosing to be lonely, you need to figure out why you are choosing to be lonely. Why are you secluding yourself? Is it self-confidence? Is it because of how you look physically? Do you feel like you're not attractive to others? I don't really have enough context, and I'm not a psychologist by any means, but oftentimes when there's some source of struggle, it's because you don't have that community. You don't have those people that you feel comfortable around. And what I'm telling you is that with social media, with the internet, that those people are there. Your people are online. So all you have to do is find those people online, and it might not be physically in person, but you can create those communities and you can find and seek out those communities right here on YouTube, on Instagram, on meetup.com or .org or those sites where you can find like-minded people and surround yourself with that kind of positivity with what you're passionate about. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for this episode of Ask Papa Swolio. Remember, if you want your question answered right here on the show, just drop your question in the comments down below with the hashtag AskPapaSwolio, and I will get to it as soon as I can. I might even stroke my beard and pinch my nips while I'm reading your question. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. That was weird. I'm going to end this episode now. Peace out, fam. Drop your questions down below. I'll see you next time. Later.
Click the link, motherfucker! Click the link! Click the link! Watch another video, like and subscribe. I know you want to. You know you want to. Come on, everyone knows you want to. You love Papa Swolio. You love the man bun. You love the sick bugging gains. You love it. Oh, oh, oh. You love it. Oh, 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 oh.